The work of the cardiovascular system is to move nutrients, oxygen, hormones, and other substances transported by blood to all cells of the body, and then convey waste products taken up by the blood from cells to the kidneys and lungs for excretion. The cardiovascular system consists of the heart and a closed system of vessels. It is through this closed system of vessels that the heart pumps blood to all parts of the body. The vessels which carry blood away from the heart are called the arteries, and their smallest divisions are known as the arterioles. The other blood vessels that convey blood from the tissues back to the heart are called the veins, while their smallest divisions are regarded as the venulus. Another type of blood vessels which connect the arterioles to the venulus are known as the capillaries. It is in the capillaries that the major function of the cardiovascular system is executed, which is exchange of nutrients and metabolic wastes. Nutrients enter the interstitial fluid in order to reach the cells of the body, while metabolic waste products from the cells of the body enter the blood and are excreted through capillaries in the lungs and the kidneys. There are two major types of circulation in human. There is pulmonary circulation and the other one is systemic circulation. The pulmonary circulation is responsible for the oxygenation of blood. In this circulation, the right atrium receives blood from the body which are less in oxygen concentration. This is actually called venous return. The deoxygenated blood that are received into the right atrium are then pumped into the lungs by the help of the right ventricle for oxygenation. Therefore, the right part of the heart is responsible for oxygenation of deoxygenated blood, which is known as pulmonary circulation. As for systemic circulation, it is the circulation in which oxygenated blood are transported from the left ventricle to all parts of the body. In this circulation, the left atrium receives oxygenated blood from the lungs through the pulmonary veins. It is important we note that the pulmonary arteries are responsible for conveying the oxygenated blood from the right atrium to the lungs. The oxygenated blood in the right atrium are emptied into the left ventricle through the left atrioventricular valve, which is also known as the mitral valve. The left ventricle then pumps oxygenated blood to all parts of the body through the aorta. This then gives us the right to say that the left part of the heart is responsible for systemic circulation. The systemic and pulmonary circulation are in series and constitute a closed circuit, so that the cardiac output of each ventricle, that is, the amount of blood pumped by each ventricle per minute, is equal in a healthy person. There is also another system of vessels in the body, which starts from the tissues of the body as blind-ended capillaries that collect small amounts of plasma proteins which escaped into the interstitial space, and then return them to the blood circulation by the means of thoracic duct and the right lymphatic duct into the subclavian veins. This system is known as the lymphatic system. Subsequently, we will go into details on the lymphatic system. Let's focus more on the cardiovascular system for now. In order to have a better understanding of the cardiovascular system, the main organ of the cardiovascular system, which is the heart, must be well understood. And because of this, let us have a look at the anatomy of the heart. The heart is divided into two parts, the right heart and the left heart. Each part contains atrium and ventricle. The right atrium has thinner walls than the left atrium. Each atrium empties its contents into the corresponding ventricle through a one-way valve which has 3 cups in the right and 2 cups in the left. The valve on the right side with 3 cups is known as the tricuspid valve, which can also be referred to as the right atrioventricular valve. The other valve on the left side is referred to as the mitral valve or the left atrioventricular valve. These valves are connected to the walls of the ventricle by tendons known as chordae tendineae, which are attached to the papillary muscles extending from the ventricular walls. This muscle stops the valve cups from being forced back into the atria. There are other valves situated between the right ventricle and pulmonary artery, and another one situated between the left ventricle and the aorta. The former is called the pulmonary valve, while the latter is known as the aortic valve. These valves are attached to the fibrous rings at the origins of these arteries. The walls of the left ventricle are about 4 times thick than that of the right ventricle. It is actually responsible for 75% of the mass of the heart. And the reason for this greater mass of the left ventricle is because it does the main pumping job of pushing blood to all parts of the body except the lungs. The right part of the heart is separated from the left part of the heart by interarterial and interventricular septa, which are muscular. But the atria are separated from the ventricles by an atrioventricular fibrotendinous ring, to which the muscle fibers and the atrioventricular valves are attached. What this means is that the only muscular connection between the atria and the ventricles is the special conducting bundle of muscle fibers known as the bundle of His. This bundle is the route by which action potentials from the atria reaches the ventricles. Having talked about the heart, let's briefly look at the bag that houses the heart. This bag is known as the pericardium. The pericardium consists of a serous layer that is attached to the surface of the heart. It is separated from the outer fibrous layer by a thin film of fluid which permits free movement of the layers during contraction-relaxation cycles of the heart. Let's look at the blood supply to the heart. There are 2 main coronary arteries that supplies the heart. These arteries arises from the sinus of Valsalva located within the pockets of the aortic valve cups. The right coronary artery supplies the right atrium and ventricle, the diaphragmatic surface of the left ventricle, and also the sinoatrial and atrioventricular nodes. The left coronary artery, on the other hand, supplies the greater part of the left heart. As for the venous drainage of the heart, most of the coronary venous blood drains through the coronary sinus into the right atrium, but small Thebetian veins drain directly into any of the 4 chambers of the heart. It is important we note that the blood flow to the inner part of the myocardium is greater than that of the superficial part. Also, blood flow to the coronary arteries is phasic. It is maximal in diastole and minimal during systole. Let us make a little comparison between the blood supply to the heart and that of the skeletal muscle. Comparing the density of the capillary of the myocardium to that of the skeletal muscle, it is about 4 times that of the skeletal muscle. Also, average blood flow per gram of the tissue is 10 to 20 times more than that of the skeletal muscle. Coronary arterial blood undergoes far greater desaturation of its oxygen content than the arterial blood supply of the skeletal muscle. Finally, in this video, let us have a look at the nerve supply to the heart. The heart has 2 nerve supplies. It is supplied by the parasympathetic nerves, which can also be referred to as the vagal supply. Secondly, it is also supplied by the sympathetic nerves. Let us take them one after the other. In the parasympathetic supply or the vagal supply, the vagus nerve supplies only the atria. The right supplies the SA node, while the left supplies mainly the AV node. Stimulation of the vagus nerve slows the heart. The sympathetics supply motor and sensory fibers to the ventricles and the atria. The outflow comes from the cervical, that is from C3 to C5, and upper thoracic sympathetic ganglia, that is from T2 to T5. The sensory fibers respond to the nociceptive stimuli, thereby mediating cardiac pain. Unlike the parasympathetic, stimulation of the sympathetic increases the rate and force of contraction of the heart and dilates the coronary arteries. I hope you found this video helpful. Support by clicking on the subscribe button and also share with your friends. In the next video, we will discuss the myocardium proper. See you next time.